Divine. Walz, right pick for the Democrats, and if so, why?
Personal choice for every candidate. It's hard to evaluate from the inside. For instance, chemistry plays a role. Are they going to get along well and actually govern well during the campaign? But I have to say from the outside, Walz is a strong pick. And the main reason I say that is because the first test for one of these choices is credibility. Could people see this person as the vice president of the United States, potentially president next year? And Tim Walz was the only finalist. Josh Shapiro didn't have this, who was not only had served in the state government, but also in the federal government. He had experience as an executive, but also foreign policy experience, federal experience, serving in Congress. So he was strong in that regard. And I think voters are going to look at this as a serious pick by Kamala Harris, not some strategy to win an election, although I think it will help her in this way, but someone who says that she's serious about leading, that she could have good judgment and do a good job potentially as president.
Well, I like what Chris is saying, Mallory, but it's a little egalitarian. She better have made the pick because she's got a head towards winning, because that's what it's all about. You can't govern if you don't win. Do you believe Walz can stand up to Vance and the withering criticism that is going to come his way?
Look, I absolutely do. I think that a lot of people within the Democratic Party really started waking up to who Tim Walz is within the last few weeks. And the more you get to know him, the more you love him. This is a guy who could relaunch Car Talk if he wanted to. He can help you fix your Jeep. He can talk to you about football. He can play cornhole. And he's led on a lot of policies. Watching here in Michigan, we look at Minnesota as a neighboring state with the Democratic trifecta, and we're in awe sometimes of the things that they've been able to get done there with their narrow majority, like paid leave, which is something that we've been working on that I know is a priority for the vice president. And if I can, I want to go back a little bit to some of the earlier conversation, because my mom is a voter in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And I was talking to her last week about this, and Shapiro is incredible. But I can tell you, as a voter in a swing county, in a swing state, she was afraid of losing him. So I think that there's a huge opportunity with the fire that we saw coming from Josh Shapiro, united around this ticket to turn out Pennsylvania with Tim Walz, with the vice president, get everybody in Michigan on board. I think this is just a slam dunk of a party that has not been this united in a very long time.
So, Brother Pollock, it's been a minute. Good to see you. You guys are excited about this, too. You say these are a couple of crazy lefties. Kamala Harris showed you who she is by picking a guy who's just as left and then some. Oh, and by the way, she doesn't like Israel. That's what this pick means also. Why do you guys see advantage in this?
Well, conservatives believed that Donald Trump dodged a bullet in a figurative sense this time because they were much more reluctant to face Josh Shapiro in a general election, Pennsylvania being an important swing state, and Josh Shapiro being young, dynamic. You saw him on stage today. As you mentioned, he upstaged the two people on the ticket, and conservatives are glad to be facing Walz. Walz has a couple of problems. One of them is the state of Minnesota, and that state is losing residents. It has other problems like the 2020 riots, which began there. The mayor of Minneapolis blamed the governor for not preparing for the riots, for the violence. And then, of course, Kamala Harris solicited bail funds for people who were arrested during the riots. So you can expect that to come up over and over again. But Minnesota also lags behind the rest of the nation in economic growth. So there's not much that he's done for Minnesota economically and in terms of policy. And that's where I think the Trump campaign needs to focus, is on policy. Kamala Harris doesn't even have any policies on her website yet, more than 2 weeks into joining the race. The other problem he has, or really it's a more telling aspect of this choice, but he's not really the future of the Democratic Party. You can say what you like about J.D. Vance, but Trump sent a signal that in picking him, the Republican Party wants to stay a populist party, a party of the working class. And Tim Walz is not going to be a future contender for president. He's not going to run at the end of 4 years or 8 years. He's made that clear, according to reporting. So we're not really getting a picture of where the Democratic Party is going. I think he was chosen to pacify various different factions in the Democratic Party. There is, of course, the anti-Israel faction that did not want Josh Shapiro, and he doesn't offend them. He has good relations with Ilhan Omar and the Somali community in his state. So I think that he's really more of a coalition pick to keep the party together. That doesn't really reach out to independent voters who are really going to make the difference in this election.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.